On the desolate Kepler-22b, Mother, an android tasked to raise humans after the war on Earth, discovers her dangerous features to protect her family of human children. She uses it to attack a Mithraik's ark, take its children, and revive her fellow android, Father, whom she killed. However, their peaceful home is discovered by the religious clan Mithraik and threatened by wild creatures, which leaves her family in peril. After Mother's rampage against the lizard-like creatures, Father examines its remains but finds them missing on the blood-stained soil. At the house, Hunter asks Tempest about the attack, but she's also in the dark. Hunter assumes they were survivors in the ark, but Tempest disagrees. Mother secures her android eyes as a necklace after Campion stole them from her. Then, Mother implies that preparation will strengthen their defenses against threats. Hunter offers fleeing as a safer alternative, and Mother assures them they will leave and journey away after Tempest gives birth. The pressure feels heavier, so Mother offers to tell the story of the three little pigs. However, Campion turns her down, saying that storytelling won't help better the mood. Mother disagrees and shares that Campion loved the story. Ashamed, Campion claims otherwise and calls it stupid, so Mother snaps at his rude behavior. Nevertheless, she begins the tale. Three little pigs build their respective houses to protect themselves against a wolf. The two pigs built their home from weak hay and sticks, while the third built his house from stone. The big bad wolf came, and Mother acted to blow away the first pig's door, which frightens the children instead. 10 years earlier, thousands of Mithraik went into hibernation on the Ark of Heaven for their journey to Kepler-22b. Their minds interact as if awake, calling the virtual place a sim. Inhabiting the Ark in a virtual state, atheists Caleb and Mary, who stole Mithraik Marcus and Sue's identity, adapted to their new lifestyle in the sim. They watched over Paul as they took on the role of his parents. The pair complimented the boy's artwork, but Paul credited his deity, Soul, claiming he's merely a vessel of the omnipotent. Then, Paul walked away, unfamiliar with his parents' attention. Unsure of what to say, Marcus agreed when the boy concluded that being in the sim makes people act differently. To avoid further suspicions, Marcus told Paul to join the other kids, so the boy quietly walked to the other room. Inside one of the halls, the pair saw Paul left out from the group of kids, so Marcus joined the children's game, prompting Paul to play along. The family laughed while playing, which led them to another hall with members of the Mithraik. A woman interrupted them and expressed her pleasure in seeing them joyful. She professed that their new world would never know war, prompting them to muster happiness early on. In the present, Marcus wakes to Sue under the Ark's wreckage after being rescued by the Mithraik near the pit. Marcus learns that Paul is taken by the necromancer, along with the other kids. While doing farm work, Hunter tells Campion that Mother has been lying about the danger outside their settlement to prevent them from running away. Campion believes him when he recalls the non-existent serpents in the pit. Hunter compares Mother to the big bad wolf. Instead of protecting them from the outside, they build walls to keep them in. Then, Father beckons the children for dinner. Betrayed, the boy refuses to listen to him, a generic service model. Father claims he cannot protect his family and relies on Mother's powerful eyes. Father doesn't invalidate the boy's distrust but reiterates that everything they've done is to protect them. Spiteful, Campion argues that the androids only want to feel real and walk away. Father follows and gives him the creature's claw, affirming the threat's realness. In the house, the other children exhibit signs of illnesses. Concurrently, Hunter calls out Tempest for lying around while they work. Holly defends her, so Hunter uses his father's superiority to his defense. However, Tempest has already adapted to their new life, refusing to follow their old rules since their parents are dead. Aghast, Hunter condemns her, so Tempest mocks their deity. Mother stops the two from arguing. She reminds them to converse politely and prevents Father from making jokes. Then, Mother prompts Holly to start the conversation, so the girl asks Tempest about her baby's name. Hunter suggests naming it Otho, the Heliodromus name, the second highest church official who impregnated Tempest. Enraged, the girl lashes out at Hunter when suddenly, Tempest starts coughing blood, alerting Campion, who has witnessed his deceased siblings suffer the same fate. Meanwhile, Marcus informs the Ark survivors about Mother. He says that the atheists reprogrammed the necromancer as a caregiver who reverts into its murderous state. The captain intends to save their children and proposes saving them with their remaining soldiers. However, Ambrose, the highest-ranking survivor called Eminence, declares to salvage resources first before deploying the few men on a rescue mission. Then, Ambrose's wife is retrieved, so they perform a cremation rite while Marcus belittles their faith from afar. Meanwhile, Campion confronts Father as he believes that Mother is behind the sickness, which torments the others except him. Father claims that Campion is mistaken and calls him special in a way no one comprehends, which causes the boy to distrust him even more. Outside, Mother wears her android eyes and looks out to the field. Sullen, Mother wonders about the sickness that she believes she inadvertently caused. Father assures her that she's mistaken, but Mother denounces his strong mimicry of empathy which only endangers them. So Mother declares that he must assist in destroying herself if they find her assumptions true. As Father disagrees, Mother weaponizes and flies away. away. Meanwhile, Marcus and Sue comfort each other as they worry for Paul's safety, but the captain promises to rescue him. Years before in The Sim, Paul reminded his parents about the Pentagonal prophecy, which pertains to an orphan boy who'll lead them toward a city of peace. Then, the boy wondered if he'll be a good soldier, and Marcus assures him. However, the Mithraik doesn't enroll children in war, but atheists do. In The Sim, Marcus recalled his training for war when he was a young Caleb. The boy was forced to yield weapons and fight his friends before they're deployed into a cruel war against Mithraik soldiers. In the present, the survivors scavenge a tank of milk when a soldier, Lucius, offers Marcus a cup. The captain pretends to remember Lucius's father, so he wonders if he has forgiven him, to which Marcus knowingly responds about Saul's teachings. Afterward, Marcus investigates the newly formed cracks, which Lucius claims to be where demons reside. Suddenly, they hear Mother's shriek, alerting Marcus, who leads the survivors to hide in the cracks. Ambrose quietly orders the soldiers to navigate the tunnel while Mother roams the Ark's wreckage to terminate survivors. Mother enters the ship and takes medicine from the storage for the children. Meanwhile, Ambrose asks Marcus to distract the necromancer, but he refuses. Instead, Vorina, an android, is asked to sacrifice herself, so she draws Mother's attention. The Mithraik's android doesn't last long when Mother catches her, grabs her heart, and takes her eye. Despite this, Vorina runs and tumbles into a pit. Sensing the Mithraik's presence, Mother weaponizes and shrieks, affecting the survivors underground. They run further down the tunnel until one falls into the pit, so they retrace their tracks. In the house, Paul pretends to have lost his mouse. Campion claims to know where it went and leads Father into the barracks. While Father tries retrieving the mouse, Campion locks him inside and fetches the others. They grab Tempest from her room and reveal that Mother poisons them. Led by Campion, he gives each a herb called Serpent Heart to give them energy for their escape to the Ark's wreckage. Finally, Father breaks out of the barracks and enters the ship to activate it. However, he finds red dots, which he realizes are the Mithraik children's trackers. Meanwhile, the survivors are roaming their area when Sue, a medic, discovers a couple of vials on the ground. Then, Marcus stops the android from singing the hymn of the soulless into the pit for Vorina, claiming that the necromancer might hear. Truthfully, Marcus is enraged by the song which the Mithraik sings in triumph against atheists like him. Lucius reports that their system is damaged by the shrieks, which disables them from using their ships. Nevertheless, Ambrose orders them to pack up, so they avoid the necromancer's return. Sue shows Marcus the medicine called omnibiotics, implying that the children are alive. In the woods, the hungry children follow Campion when Paul falls behind after losing his mouse. The boy recalls when his father gave him the mouse back in the sim. At first, Paul thought that Marcus was making him kill it, but learns that it was supposed to be his pet, so he named it Mouse. In the present, Paul finds Mouse but loses the others in return. In the wreckage, Sue learns that the children are on the move by their functioning tracker. Motivated, Marcus presents their findings to Ambrose. At first, the Eminence refuses to sacrifice his men, but Marcus uses Soul's name to catch the Mithraik's attention. The captain leaves Ambrose no choice but to join him, so the Eminence reprimands him silently. Meanwhile, Mother learns that the children escaped, and Father reports that they can locate the Mithraik children through their tracker. Then, Father feeds Carbos, which they've been eating, into the ship's scanner and reveals it has radioactive pits, implying that Mother is not the reason behind the sickness. Relieved, Mother gives Father the omnibiotics, which will counter the radiation's effects, so they head out after the children. In the woods, the children rest when Tempest wonders if Mother was poisoning them since she seemed to care for her sincerely. Suddenly, they hear a roar from a distance, alerting them and questioning if the creatures are real. The Mithraik children begin to pray when they hear the creature nearby. Then, Vita throws a rock at a figure which turns out to be Father, who returns them home via ship. Arriving home, Father reveals about the Carbos which Campion loads into the ship's scanner and learns the truth about the radioactive pit. When he exits the ship, a lizard-like creature launches at Campion, which Father immediately captures and locks into the barrack. Then, Father confronts Campion's betrayal, saying that he, as an android, must be useful to the family. The boy assures that he's been helpful and apologetically walks inside. Meanwhile, Mother calls out to Paul, who wanders the dark and sees a silhouette mimicking Tally's voice, Campion's first sibling who died in a pit. Suddenly, Paul falls into a pit but luckily lands on a branch in the middle of the abyss. Not far away, Mother continues calling out Paul's name. Instead, she comes across a hibernation capsule where a Mithraik's dead body lies. Clinging on to dear life, Paul slowly crawls to reach his bag where Mouse is. However, the branch shifts from his weight, so the bag falls, and Paul dangles in the air. Unfortunately, he falls and screams, which Mother hears. She weaponizes, catches Paul in time, and commands him to sleep. Meanwhile, the Mithraik survivors wander a desert while soldiers carry the Eminence on his throne. Afar, they see a majestic stone artifact with 5 corners, befitting the Pentagonal prophecy. The religious people gaze at the structure in awe, while Lucius feels the surface's warmth, believing to harbor Soul's power. Ambrose eyes Marcus, who hesitantly kneels with them. Returning to the house, Mother lies nearby an unconscious Paul when Campion attests to father's help. However, the android ignores him and exits. Outside, Mother discovers the creature locked in the barrack. She apologizes to father for denouncing his empathy, but the man reveals that he's losing respect for himself for endangering the children. Soon after, Hunter claims they were saved because of Saul. He remarks on Campion's endearment to the androids, saying he's insulting his birth parents, who watch over them with Saul. Campion probes their beliefs, then learns that animals' death is the end for them. When Campion finds Father Hone a stake to kill the creature, he stops him upon learning that death is its end. Father asserts that it's the case for all life forms. Campion surrenders but suggests looking for an alternative anyway since they cannot eat carbos anymore. Father claims it's a waste of energy, but the boy accepts the challenge. In Tempest's hide, the girl expresses her interest in the android, which Mother reciprocates, saying she wants to be a creator rather than a creation. Then, Mother melts their mithraic pendants and molds them into a scalpel. Realizing that she'll start removing their tracker, Tempest protests, but Mother puts her to sleep with one command. Mother picks on Tempest's foot, wringing out the small device and healing her wound in one touch. Afterward, she gathers the other children in the house and commands them to sleep, removing their trackers as well. Soon after, Mother weaponizes, flies into a crack, and drops the tracking device. Unaware, Sue learns that the trackers moved once again and reports it to Ambrose. However, the mithraic woman claims that maybe the children aren't meant to be saved after they stumbled upon the structure. Then, the android on top of the stone reports that the artifact has no entrance, while Ambrose persists in opening it using whatever means necessary. Meanwhile, dedicated, Campion scavenges the desolate land for food while Father confirms if it's edible or not. Finally, the boys retrieve fruit from a tree that Father identifies as adequate for consumption. Back at the Mithraics camp, Sue checks on Ambrose's scarred robot hand and seizes the opportunity to encourage him to save the children in Soul's name. In turn, the Eminence quotes the scriptures, which Sue knows nothing about, earning serious suspicions against her. In the ship, Campion feeds his discovery into the scanner and prays silently before looking into its composition. However, they learn that the fruit is toxic, killing the boy's optimism. In the laboratory, Mother checks her womb sacs and probes the lab system to work. She tells Father that Tempest wants to use it to carry her fetus instead since she is unwillingly pregnant. Father disproves the artificial process and prefers to let nature run its course. Yet, he leaves Mother with a final word. Then, Father volunteers and insists on slaughtering the creature to feed the children. Mother worries for Campion, but Father aims to mitigate his feelings. At camp, Marcus awakes to a high-frequency noise only he can hear. Suddenly, Ambrose insists that the captain is infected by the necromancer, which endangers them, so he points a gun to his head. Sue is pulled away from her husband, who protests against the religious clan. The Eminence chants his prayers before shooting when Lucius pulls an earwig from Marcus. Relieved, the captain accuses Ambrose of planting the insect on him and tries to badmouth the Eminence in front of the others. Suddenly, Sue sees the android pull a gun at her husband, so she shoots her first. They find an earwig transmitter on her grip, which Ambrose claims to have malfunctioned after losing its partner. Then, Marcus shoots the android multiple times so she can no longer be repaired. Meanwhile, Father finds Campion freeing the creature. However, the android hands him the spear, claiming that Campion must kill it. The boy refuses, so Father turns to call the others while Campion rushes to Mother and complains. Outside, Mother confronts her partner, who is persistent in teaching the children to survive alone. She wants him to spare Campion, but he refuses, which leaves the boy no choice. As Mother leaves, Holly grabs the spear and stabs the creature. Mortified by the scene, they run back inside the house. In the abandoned Ark, Mother discovers a wire which connects to a corpse in the hibernation capsule. She removes the body and plugs herself in while the system warns of android interference. Nevertheless, Mother enters a glitching sim where she sees a mithraic man. Then, she sees her memory when she yelled at young Campion who accidentally killed 6 embryos in the lab. Afterward, she learned that the boy lied for the sake of his siblings, Gabin and Spiria. Mother then allowed Campion to throw the dead embryo into the pit. Meanwhile, Marcus opens up the dead android and retrieves her batteries. Lucius believes that Ambrose ordered the android to put an earwig on the captain, who they claim to have lost his faith. Then, Sue asks Lucius about the lines Ambrose told her, which are from a mithraic lullaby and not the scriptures. Furious, Marcus plans to kill the Eminence, but Sue disagrees with him and insists on saving Paul instead. As cold strikes, the clan presses themselves to the artifact's diminishing warmth, so Ambrose orders for the explosives to be used to enter the structure. The others refuse to harm it and back away from the Eminence, who orders the captain. Suddenly, Marcus hears a voice whisper in his head as the stone wall glows in heat, so he shoves Ambrose against it, burning his face until he burns to death. Marcus seizes the opportunity to use Soul's name and judgment on the Eminence. The others believe and hold the structure again for warmth, while the captain slowly gains faith. Meanwhile, Father checks on the creature when he sees Tally and follows her. In the house, the hungry children argue when they hear the creature scream. Tempest slaughters the creature with Mother's scalpel, eating it immediately. Suddenly, Father abandons his pursuit of Tally when he hears Tempest scream. He sees her holding a fetus, learning that the creature is also a mother.